Hey there, everybody. Pete here from Comic Book Geezers, and my co-host, partner in crime,
Bill, the unknown comic. Welcome back, comic book fans, to another episode of Comic Book Geezers. This one is a
special episode,
special anniversary, 3rd year anniversary episode.
3 years, ladies and gentlemen. 3 years on this thing called YouTube. Can you believe it?
This guy started it. You know the story. Called and asked me if
because I don't have enough to do, right? So 3 years ago, I was just really getting the Sea of Tranquility YouTube channel really up and running and starting to do really well. But I was like, man,
But back up a year. That was 2017. 2016, I went to a flea market and started buying comics, and that was the first time since '93 or '94. So I started, what you do this weekend, I went to a flea market, bought some comics. He comes like a month later to the place, then he starts buying.
Yeah, and I had been buying periodically for a bunch, like starting in probably
to get heavier
like 2005. But I started every now and then just filling some holes like for a year or two because that's what I was doing. Remember, I was ordering from the Mile High Comics.
I was going like every week or every 2 weeks to this flea market, and then next thing you know, he starts buying again, and a year later, or 15 months later, he hits me with...
It was ridiculous. Then it became a regular thing, right? So I went from buying online every so often to
going to the flea market
going every week. I mean, we were going every week and spending, $60, $100, $150, that sort of thing. So what we wanted to do here, because we wanted to do a 3rd anniversary episode anyway, just to kind of celebrate 3 years.
Say thank you for your support and your comments and everything, but
more importantly, we got a comment from one of our loyal viewers saying, "Hey, I'm like you guys. I'm an older dude who used to collect comics back in the the 60s, 70s, and 80s and got out of it for a while. Can you give some advice on if you want to get back into it, how do you do it?"
And we were the wrong people, man.
We are the worst examples of
Ask Kirk.
So our third geezer, Kirk, so he
blames us.
He
blames
blames
the show
us.
got started. He started buying again, and he's like, and I'm like, all we're doing is showing off books, man. It's not I'm not putting a gun to your head to go out to the store, but he does.
So where to start here?
So where to start? Yes.
So first of all,
question. Go ahead.
I was going to say, if you still have like old books that you collected way back in the day, your first thing you should do is go and take inventory of them, right? So go every book you got, whether you do it you write it out like Bill does, or whether you put it on like a spreadsheet or something like that. Write down everything you have.
I do just the opposite. I write down everything I don't have.
Well, yeah, but I'm talking first though. So first you should write down what you have. And then you have to take stock and say, all right, so where do I want to go from here? Which books or characters do I like the most that I want to... So let's just say, for granted, say you're a big Fantastic Four fan, and you go and you take your inventory and you have like 75 issues in total. So now you have to stop and think, okay, do I want to continue collecting more Fantastic Fours? And then you got to do...
the keys.
Or you want to get the less...
storyline.
Or storylines.
So you got to weigh your pros and cons, and then when you look at all the prices, you're like, oh, shit.
Yeah.
So you have to... Then your budget comes into play, like what do you want to swing for?
And that's when you put together that list, like Bill said, of what you don't have and what you want, and that becomes your want list or your wish list.
Yeah.
So I think we are both on the platform right now, or the level now, where we have wish lists. We no longer have. I don't have an inventory of what I do
have.
I
have wish lists and gap lists,
right.
Filling holes,
right.
Issues I don't have. Hey, did I tell you? I just pulled the trigger last night on an online order. So
see that?
It's the 4th one since this pandemic started. So
right.
I ordered like 14 comics, 2 old Spider-Mans. So
go out, take your inventory, and then figure out which series that you want to continue collecting or restart your collection. Right?
And the reason I piped up was to let you know that's one option. Like I mentioned, flea market online is a way if you're going to get back into it. I would say flea markets in your area, garage sales, even though that's kind of been piped down now with this lockdown stuff. But comic book stores, Comic Cons, obviously the best place to go for looking for books.
Yeah.
But I guess
you don't need to go to a major Comic Con. I mean, granted, there's no Comic Cons happening now anyway, but there are a lot of small regional ones that he and I have found.
Fred and Bob's Comic Con. In the backseat of their car.
Yeah,
selling books.
So there's lots of ways. So let's go over some of them. So let's talk about the online thing. So that's one option you have that you can do today, right now.
Yeah, that's probably the most legit thing that's going to fly. Online.
So you got eBay. eBay
does eBay.
I do eBay. There's 2 things on eBay you can do.
But
eBay is good. First of all, if you're looking for keys, okay, which can be pricey. You see, there's a lot of people selling keys on auctions, right? I think you've done a couple auctions and things like that. I've done it as well. I mean, that's a little more work because you got to kind of monitor it and all that kind of stuff. But there's a lot of people who are selling buy now on eBay, so they're just selling a book on eBay for a set price. You go, you see it, you order it, boom. Pretty easy to do. But if you're like he and I like to go to places that have a lot of great back issues and old books, like mycomicshop.com.
That's who I deal with.
Comiccollectors.com, Midtown Comics. You can go to Amazon, whatever. Though we use mycomicshop.com a lot, and they just have.
They have an amazing inventory.
Amazing inventory, very good pricing.
Their pricing is.
It's in line with everybody else, right?
I think they're better than a lot of people.
Yeah.
You know. And they're fair. I mean, and they have different ranges to pick from.
Yes.
So you can get a book from a 3 to a 7. So the prices are going to vary.
And we'll talk about the grades in a second, but we will.
Okay.
So what other thing that's great about mycomicshop.com is they
put the labels on the back of the bags.
Now they
sometimes.
Do. Sometimes.
Yes.
But they pack everything amazingly. It comes in this great secure box. You never have to worry about the shipments.
Gorilla Samsonite tested, man.
Oh, yeah, big time.
And it's packed in plastic, so if it does get set out in the rain, it's got waterproof.
It's got an inner bag that has all of your books in it and a very durable box.
Nothing is waterproof, but this is definitely water resistant.
Yeah,
so it's bang resistant too with that hard foam rubber corners. Yeah. They put 4 foam rubber hard styrofoam corners to protect the corners of your books, so that some idiot doesn't step on the box and ruin the corners.
Oh, My Hot Comics is another option too. They're out of Colorado. They're pretty good.
They're big.
Yeah, I will say I use them quite a lot, like in the early 2000s when I was kind of getting back into it again. But I found like before I started to use mycomicshop.com, they would I'd sometimes wonder if they were just too busy or didn't have enough staff working because I would submit orders, I'd never get a confirmation on it. Nothing would ever come.
You placed an order,
and it happened like 3 times in a row. I said, you know what, I'm done using these guys. I got to find someone else.
Is that there on the floor?
Yeah. And they took very good care of me for years, and I'm not trying to slag them here, but I'm just saying you lost a loyal customer because So online ordering is your one first choice. And now just a quick word on grades, because one of the questions we got from one of our viewers was how do I know what grade is good or what grade? Listen,
if you get an F,
no good. So the question is, when you buy these back issue comics, these older issues, what is your intent with them? If you're going to read them, if you're going to buy them, receive them, pull them out of the bag and sit and read them, you want good, solid reader copies, then my suggestion is you don't need to spend the big bucks on the higher grade items like a 9 or an 8 or a 7. Which
3 is fine.
3 and under is very good. You know what?
Anything between 2.0 and 3.5, if you're getting a 4 or better, you're doing good because... Yeah. A lot of the 3s look like 8s as far as what do I know. I mean, some of these books, I'm like, I can't believe this book is a 3. It seems a lot better than that. And then I go look at my regular collection, I'm like, shit, I thought I had all 9s. Because nobody gives you a 10.
No.
But if I showed it to these guys, they'd be like, that's a 3. I'm like, no, hell it is. It's been in a box all its life. It hasn't seen daylight. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
But, yeah, you can't go wrong between a 2 and a 3 and a 3.5.
And occasionally you can get like a 1.8 that's actually not too bad. It's going to show its wear, but quite frankly...
You're going to see creases in the covers or maybe some tears in the pages, but for the most part, it's still looking pretty good for a
1960s book, right? I mean,
you might have some fading,
Yeah.
discoloration, but...
I'll put it to you this way.
The colors might still pop.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
If you're looking for an old 60s book, anything from the 60s, all those classics from the 60s, and you see... because they're all pretty expensive. If you see a 1.8 or a 2.0 that's a fair price, I take the risk in buying it.
Yeah.
But if you're talking about a 70s or an 80s book where it says 1.7 or 1.8, you can get something better for a better price.
The reason you should pull the trigger on a 2.0 or a 1.8 is that if it's a key, you'll have it.
Yeah.
You give up quality for having it. Quality, price, don't have it. Like
for instance, a Hulk 181 1.8 is going to still run you like $500, right? But yet a 3 or even a 4 or 2.5,
like $5,000, $6,000,
right? So you have to kind of do you want it in maybe not the greatest condition but still readable, or
and see, I've read those 2 books, so I've read them, but I don't own them. But nobody knew back in the '80s,
No. Like one of my things that I want, one of the books that I really want to get this year, this calendar year, probably later in the year, I want to buy Iron Man #1. It's a pricey book, obviously.
This is going to run you $300-400.
But that's the point. So for maybe $300, $325 or something like that, I can probably get a 2.0. That's probably not amazing condition, but it's still readable.
And I've read that
collectible, and that's for some of these big issues, these key issues. That's what But if your intent is to buy to then hopefully resell it sometime, well, then you need to start thinking about spending the big bucks on,
better quality,
a better graded or maybe a CGC graded book.
If you're going to sell, then you want to buy probably graded books. Or if you're going to go through the graded process, you have to have money for that as well. That's not cheap either, from what I understand.
Yeah.
And then you have to sit there and wait for the books to come back, and then the grades may not be what you're expecting.
Yeah.
They might send you back a bunch of 1s and 2s, and you thought you were sending them out 5, 6, 7, and 8s. And
yeah.
So we've done an episode before on slabs, but we don't personally slab. But anyway.
Yeah. So that's the online stuff. But Bill makes a good point. If you live in a place where there are flea markets, most flea markets have people selling comic books, and I would go check them out, because you can go every week and you might see different stuff. And the garage sales and yard sales too, but the problem is you never know. Right?
Yeah, it's hit and miss.
There are people. We belong to a couple Facebook pages, comic book fan Facebook pages, and there are some people that report like every week about things that the things that they found at at yard
for
sales
like $1.
It's
like the first Iron Man or the first Spider-Man issue.
So you never know. So if you live in an area that has people do yard sales all the time, and especially like people who are a little bit older who are just looking to get rid of stuff around the house, they might not know what they have, right?
Yeah.
So they're just like, I have
That's
my son's old comic book. Exactly.
It never happens to us.
But you got to go to a yard sales, right?
Yeah.
So your best bet.
Look, the first issue of Blade.
Yeah, it's like woo. So and I don't know. And how do you do this? Do you just drive around on a Saturday and Sunday, and every time you see a yard sale, you drive up and you say, "Do you have any comic books by any chance?" No. Okay, thanks.
Any great coupon? I don't know, but yeah. So that's it for comics, I guess. With your passion, I would say just follow your heart. You're gonna know what you like.
Figure out which ones you want to go and start recollecting on, and just like Bill said, just go look at all the issues you don't have and start filling holes little by little. And
in the late '80s, I don't know about you, I was just buying comics if I liked what was on the cover.
When I was growing up, I had my favorite books. Like if we go back in time to like the late '70s, I'd go to the newsstand with Dad, and I would just see all the stuff. And every week I did this, and I was like, "Oh, I like that character. Oh, but I never read that before. But I like that cover, and that sort of thing."
I kind of judge them by the covers. If I like what's looking on the cover, I'll grab it. So hope that advice helps you. But get ready to spend.
Yep.
And then you got to figure out where you're going to put them. That's the other question.
Well, that's the thing. Get a bag and board them and get them in boxes. Don't just leave them laying around.
So that's 3 years of Comic Book Geezers. Can't believe it. I'm Wild Bill saying thank you, as always, for your comments and your support. And keep coming back for more comic book episodes. We'll see you next time.
That's right. I'm Pete. So we got a lot of stuff in store for you now. So, make sure you tune in every week, right? So take care.
Catch you.
Bye-bye.
Take care.